My dad called me a disappointment right after I gave him a $90,000 Mercedes. I'm Eliza Matthews. I'm 32. I've worked my way up in finance, paid off my student loans, and bought my father his dream car for his 65th birthday. In front of 40 guests, he smiled, raised his glass, and said, "At least one of my kids turned out decent. Not this one." He pointed at me. He didn't know I'd already taken a DNA test. He wasn't even my biological father. But I let him finish his cake, before I took the car keys back, right off his plate. Have you ever spent your whole life proving yourself to someone who never wanted you? Tell me in the comments, because this story, it changes everything. Growing up in the Matthews household felt like living inside a luxury cage. We had chandeliers, marble floors, private school tuition, but no warmth, no real hugs, just expectations, quotas, silent judgment. My father, Richard, made sure everyone knew who the valuable children were. James, the golden boy, could do no wrong. Sophia, the youngest, was spoiled but adored. And me, I was tolerated. When I placed third in the state math Olympiad, he said, "James was captain of the football team at your age." When I got accepted into Cornell with a scholarship, he scoffed, "So you couldn't make it into Stanford, huh?" Every praise came with a sting. Every moment I thought I made him proud turned into another reminder that I wasn't what he wanted. My mother, she noticed, but she never intervened. She'd give me a sad smile from across the table, then change the subject, like loving me out loud would offend him. And so I learned, if I wanted even a sliver of his attention, I had to earn it. Outperform, outshine, outlast. I buried myself in school, in internships, in corporate ladder climbing. I became the reliable one, the one who sent money home when James's business flopped, the one who bought Sophia a plane ticket when she missed her flight to Cabo. Not once did anyone ask how I was doing. I told myself I didn't need their approval. But the truth? Every achievement still echoed with that desperate question. "Did you see me now, Dad?" And the answer, always, was silence. In my 20s, I became the family fixer. When James's startup tanked, I wired him $12,000, twice. When Dad needed a new roof for the lake house, I co-signed the loan. When Sophia wanted to find herself in Italy, I paid for her 6-week trip, even booked her Airbnbs. No one asked. They just expected. And I delivered. Quietly. Repeatedly. Every Christmas, I bought gifts that made up for the years no one remembered mine. Every birthday, I sent cards with checks. I sent Mom monthly grocery money for 3 years, $500 like clockwork, even though she never said thank you, not once. It wasn't just about the money. It was the hope that maybe, one day, they'd say I mattered, that I belonged. But my father never changed. He talked over me at dinner, introduced me to colleagues as our other child, the banker one. Once I overheard him say, "Eliza's smart, sure, but not legacy material." Still, I clung to scraps. I told myself he was just old school, that one big gesture might finally shift something. So when his 65th birthday came around, I called the dealership myself. I ordered a silver Mercedes S-Class, black interior, his dream car. Paid up front, $89,740. Took 2 weeks to customize the plates. RM65. When I handed him the keys, he actually looked surprised. For a moment I thought, this is it. He hugged me, the kind you give in public, stiff and shallow. Then he whispered, "Now maybe they'll stop asking what you contribute to this family." That night I stood in my old bedroom, now a storage space, and stared at myself in the mirror. 32, polished, exhausted, still begging for crumbs. But I had no idea that the cruelest truth wasn't how little he valued me. It was that he was never even my father to begin with. The night of the birthday party, I wore navy silk and heels that pinched. I'd even hired a string quartet. Dozens of guests buzzed around the garden, sipping champagne, admiring the car parked at the entrance with a bow the size of my shame. Dad made his speech halfway through dinner. He thanked James for flying in from New York, praised Sophia's spontaneity and heart. He looked straight at me and smirked. And of course, he said, raising his glass, to the daughter who never quite fit, but at least she's got good taste in cars. Laughter. Forks clinked. I froze. And that's when something snapped. I reached into my purse. My hands shook as I pulled out the envelope. The DNA test had taken 6 weeks. I'd done it after Mom let something slip, something about timelines not adding up. At first, I brushed it off, but the ache in my gut refused to leave. I slammed the paper onto his plate. "Read it," I said. "You're not my father." The room went silent. He didn't flinch. Just glanced at the document, then looked up and muttered, "So what?" My mother's fork dropped. She went pale. "You knew?" I asked. "I've always known," he said. "But your mother insisted we raise you as mine. So I did. What more do you want?" "What more? How about kindness? How about not making me feel like I was defective for 32 years? I turned to my mom. "You knew too?" Tears welled up in her eyes. She whispered, "I wanted to tell you, but he said it would ruin everything." Everything was already ruined. I stood there, exposed and trembling, surrounded by people who saw me as a footnote. My world wasn't just breaking. It had never been real to begin with. I stared at the man who raised me, not out of love, but out of obligation, out of image. "You raised me like a tax write-off," I said quietly. "Enough to look good, never enough to be real." He rolled his eyes. "You turned out fine. You have a career, money. What are you complaining about?" I stepped closer. "I turned out fine in spite of you, not because of you." I reached into my bag, pulled out the second envelope, the car deed. My name, front and center. I held it up. "By the way, the Mercedes? Registered to me, not you." Gasps rippled across the table. I turned to a valet. "Can you bring the keys back, please?" Dad stood up, red-faced. "You're making a scene." "No," I said. "I'm making a boundary." The valet returned, confused. I took the keys, walked over, and laid them on top of the DNA report, still sitting on his cake plate. "Oh, and I've already called the tow truck. Should be here in 10. I looked around the table at my relatives, silent, stunned, complicit. All of you watched him diminish me for years. Not one of you said anything. But here's the truth. I'm not the black sheep. I was just never one of you. My mother tried to reach for my hand. I pulled away. "Don't," I whispered. "You chose comfort over truth. Over me." And then I walked out. Past the string quartet still playing. Past the Mercedes, still gleaming under fairy lights. I didn't cry. I didn't break. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to be worthy of a family that never saw me. I was done performing. Done begging. And as I stepped into the Uber I called myself, I felt something foreign, something terrifying. Freedom. A week later, I met my biological father. He was nothing like Richard. A literature professor, soft-spoken. He made tea with too much honey and offered me the nicer chair without thinking. We talked for hours, about books, music, regret. He didn't try to claim me, didn't say he was proud out of guilt. He just listened, and for the first time I felt seen, without having to earn it. I'm not building a fairy tale with him. I don't need another father figure to fix what was broken. But knowing where I came from, knowing the truth, set me free. Since that night, I've cut off contact with the Matthews. No texts, no updates. I kept the car title, sold the Mercedes, used the money for a down payment on a small cabin upstate. It's quiet there. Sometimes I still hear Richard's voice in my head, measuring my worth. But now, I answer back. I tell that voice. I was never too much. I was never not enough. I was just misplaced. If you've ever spent your life trying to earn love that should have been freely given, I see you. I've been you. And I hope someday, like me, you finally walk away. not to punish them, but to choose you. Because you were never the problem. They just weren't your people.